Yeah, welcome back. It's AFEX time now. In the last trading week, which we saw a mixed performance across key indicators, and that's the week that ended May the 6th. 2023. Turnover rose by 38.52% from 2.83 billion naira to 3.92 billion naira. There was also an increase of almost 90% in the volume of contracts traded. There was, however, a decrease in the number of deals traded by 12%, closing at 110. The AFEX Commodity Index fell by 0.58%, closing the week at 479.27 index point. AFEX Exports Index performed negatively, falling to 230.31 points from 230.42 points. The volume of contracts traded, we saw increased volume across cashew, soybean, and paddy rice. Price across commodities. There starts with sorghum now, and sesame, ginger, and wheat maintained at 274.00, 1,247.57, and 923.82. Respectively, while cashew nuts rose by 0.60% and closed at 615 naira 13 kobo. Soybean rose by 0.46%. Paddy rice also rose 0.19% and closed at 339 naira 52 kobo. We saw cocoa fall by 0.22% and closed at 2,079 naira 10 kobo. Across grain commodities, maize fell by 3.74% and closed at 238.26 for a kilogram. In achieving food security for Africa's growing population, it remains a priority for government, agribusiness players, with a record high of 258 million people facing insecurity in 2022. There are more calls for these players to rethink their approaches to achieving food security through the adoption of sustainable agriculture production practices. In building these resilient systems, it's important to prioritize the place of technology and data to achieve this. Well, joining us now from AFEX, in fact, we have the commercial manager, food and agro, Yvonne Choba, tells us what AFEX is doing in this regard. Hi, Choba. Good morning, and thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So share with us, what are some of those data models that are available, especially given to drive insight into agricultural development, and how are you using it at AFEX?
So one of our major data platform would be the COMEX platform, which is the exchange. It allows free trade for all the players. So whether you are a processor or you are an investment manager or you just want to diversify your portfolio. So it gives you all the pricing data for both local transactions and export transactions. So you come on there to be able to understand how the commodities market is doing week on week, even month on month. And then it feeds into the decisions that these players need for whatever purposes that they require it for.
So how can this be used, to deepen trade? And of course, the end goal is that food security. How can it be used?
So because we have access to all the players, so from the farmers who are the producers to the off-takers or the investment managers. So at every point in time, we are very close to both the producers and both the users of this information to be able to make informed decisions. So this information that we get from the market or from the farmers that we work with shows the trajectory of where we are with food security, helps the players or whoever requires this data to be able to understand which way they should go. It gives them information to know which part of the value chain they need to be able to put in more policies or put in more funding to be able to help us achieve food security.
So this drive or gospel of data-driven development in the agriculture sector, how do we get more buyings, not just from AFEX, but more private sector players, as well as the government and the public sector?
So I will take it from the government part then to private sector. So in recent times, we have been getting more engagement from the government, like the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. They have been more committed to getting data to inform the decisions and the policies they need to make to help the agricultural industry to grow. So this data helps them to be able to have insight as to what the challenges are facing not just the producers, but also the off-takers. On the private sectors, this data also enables them to know how they can bring in funds or opportunities that are available in this industry for them to come in and provide solutions for it. For example, if we require cheaper access to inputs, this data can allow these players, whether both private or the government, to come in with policies or incentives or initiatives that can be able to drive down these costs for the farmers to be able to use to produce better and be able to give more access to grains when they harvest. For the private sector, this data also allows them to know how they can diversify into certain parts of the value chain to be able to give more inclusivity to the players.
So I know AFEX is at the fore of this. Who are you coordinating with? How are you bringing this, into the practical and not just from, the ideas level and all of that?
So when we work with these farmers, we have field extension officers, for example, who go in to understand what their plights are. So customarily, the data we have harnessed over a period of time allows us to understand how to better inform them. For example, if it has to do with environmental factors, we can be able to help these farmers plan better, probably plant quicker to be able to reduce post-harvest losses and to be able to ensure that the inputs they are putting in has the most advantage for the crops in which they are providing. The data that we also get from this allows our processors to know, or other players to know, when best to come into the market, when the volumes would be right, when the pricing would be right for them to be able to take the most advantage. Also allows other investors to come in to say, okay, if this was the volume that we were able to trade in a particular quarter, in a particular year, how better can we come into the sector to be able to increase production? Which ways or what other methods or opportunities are available for us to be able to put our funds into better food security? So these are some of the ways that we work in to get this done.
All right, thank you so much. And I can tell you more is expected from AFEX, to whom much is given, much is expected, especially as we go into a new administration. All right, thank you so much for joining us and sharing what AFEX is doing in the area of data for agricultural development. Yvonne Choma, Commercial Manager, Food and Agro for AFEX. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll head to other markets.